All right, let's take our time and break this match down properly, because when you look closely at Manchester United and Everton across their last 5 games, you start to see patterns that repeat themselves over and over again. And when those patterns line up, they give you a very strong picture of what type of game we're going to get. So instead of rushing through results or jumping quickly from moment to moment, let's slow the whole thing down and go through this story step by step, from the oldest match to the most recent, and we'll compare both teams as we move along. If we go all the way back to Manchester United's earlier match, the one at Anfield where they managed to squeeze out a dramatic win with that late Maguire header, it tells you something important about this United team. They didn't dominate that game. They didn't control it from start to finish. For long periods, they were pinned back, they were absorbing pressure, and they were forced to defend deep. But even while they struggled to control the midfield, and even though Liverpool had more of the ball, United stayed patient. They held their shape. They trusted their defenders to make clearance after clearance, and they waited for the one moment where the game opened up. And when that corner came late on, they took full advantage. Maguire rose above everyone, found the contact, and sealed the win. That moment wasn't luck. It was a reflection of how United approach difficult games. They don't need 90 minutes of control. They just need one chance to shift everything. When you analyze that type of win, you can already see how it will matter in a match against Everton. A patient team against a structured team often comes down to two things: who blinks first and who can take advantage of that single key moment. United have shown that even when they look second best in general play, their set-piece threat and their ability to produce a decisive action late in the game is extremely dangerous. Moving forward through their run, we start seeing the inconsistency that has been part of United's identity this season. There were matches right after that where their defensive structure did not look convincing. You'd see the back line stepping up at the wrong time, the midfield leaving pockets of space, and opponents slipping through those pockets too easily. Dalot delays and missed passes creating chaos in the left side. It wasn't a collapse, just a team that hasn't fully stabilized yet. But even while they gave away chances, they kept producing opportunities of their own, because they have individual players who don't need much space to change the entire momentum of a match. Players like Bruno, Mbeumo, Ahmad, Cunha. That becomes even clearer when we look at the Nottingham Forest game. In that match, United went behind. They struggled for rhythm, their build-up was slow at times, predictable at others, and Forest defended with real energy. But even with all that, United still managed to create 7 shots on target. They weren't all high-quality looks, but they were enough to keep Forest under pressure. And then, very late in the game, Amad Diallo scored an unbelievable volley. That goal didn't come from a well-built team sequence. It didn't come from United dominating possession. It came from raw talent. The kind of moment only certain players can produce. And that type of moment is exactly what separates United from teams like Everton. United can be having a bad night, and still, in 1 second, everything changes. As we move further along their form, we hit the match against Spurs. This game tells you almost everything you need to know about Manchester United's mentality. They scored early. They conceded in the late minutes. They conceded again. They equalized. De Ligt rose above everybody in the final moments and secured the point. Once again, the pattern repeats. United are one of the weakest teams in the league in the final 10 minutes of matches. They fall out of confidence. They run out of energy. I will blame Amorim's last 30-minute substitutions, Casemiro for Ugarte. In that midfield is an error. Now let's slowly move our focus toward Everton's recent run, because their story is completely different. Everton's identity is built on stability, consistency, and strong defensive structure. Even when they lose games, they rarely look chaotic. Instead, they look like a team that works extremely hard off the ball, keeps its lines tight, and relies on physicality and discipline to stay competitive. Their issue is not defending, their issue is scoring. Everton often play well for long stretches, but struggle to put the ball in the net, especially from open play. Their match against Bournemouth is a perfect example. Everton defended well, absorbed pressure, controlled space, and made Bournemouth work extremely hard to create chances. But when it came to creating real danger of their own, Everton just didn't have enough. Their forwards weren't sharp, and the big moments came instead from midfielders and defenders. Compared to Manchester United, the difference is obvious. United can rely on multiple sources for goals. Everton cannot. That theme continued in the game against Sunderland. Strong defending again, solid shape, good organization, but limited attacking output. Everton often get into promising positions, but lack the creativity or finishing ability to turn those positions into goals. They don't attack with speed. They don't produce combinations around the box. And their scoring opportunities usually come from set pieces or second balls. And that brings us to something important. Both teams rely heavily on set pieces, but the way they approach them is very different. United use variation, rehearsed routines, near-post flicks, blockers, far-post overloads, and players like Maguire and De Ligt who attack the ball aggressively. Everton's approach is more straightforward. Powerful deliveries and big center backs winning duels. Both teams can score from set pieces, but United's creativity gives them an edge because they're less predictable. When two teams both rely on dead ball situations, the one with more variation usually comes out on top. Everton finally got a confidence boost with a 2-0 win over Fulham. A very Everton-type win, not flashy, not fast, built on structure and patience. Guy scored just before the break, and Michael Keane scored the second. Another header, another reminder of their reliance on set pieces. In that win, the Jack Grealish's creativity was noticeable. Now, when we compare the teams across this entire five-game stretch, something becomes extremely clear. Manchester United have more ways to score, more types of chances, more threats in different areas. Everton rely heavily on specific moments, especially set pieces, and if they don't score from those, they struggle. Let's also talk about the midfield battle, because this is where the match can swing. United's midfield is risky. They try ambitious passes, carry the ball forward, and shoot from range. Everton's midfield does almost the opposite: cautious, protective, structured. If Everton fall behind, it becomes very difficult for them to chase the game. United can overturn a deficit. Everton often cannot. Transitions are another big factor. United transition quickly, Everton transition slowly. That matters because when United win the ball, they break with pace and stretch defenses. But when Everton win the ball, they often recycle it sideways or backwards, giving United time to reset. Finishing quality is another major difference. United have players who can produce moments out of nothing. Long shots, dribbles, quick combinations. Everton needs structured situations, crosses, corners, or defensive mistakes. That limits their scoring potential. International break form also matters. Several United players returned with confidence, including one standout 10 out of 10 performance. Everton didn't get the same boost, but they trained more as a team. And when you combine all these slow-building factors, mentality, transitions, finishing, set pieces, midfield profiles, you start seeing the prediction forming naturally. Manchester United aren't perfect. They have weaknesses, but they can win games through chaos, magic, and late surges. Everton are structured, disciplined, but limited in threat. So when these two teams meet, expect long stretches of tactical discipline, slow build-up, Everton sitting deep, and United probing for openings. Set pieces will be key for both sides. But at the end of the day, Manchester United simply have more tools to decide the match. More creativity, more unpredictability, more finishing options, and more belief in the final 10 minutes. So my final prediction remains: Manchester United 2, Everton 1. A tight game, a physical battle, but one where United's superior individual quality gives them the edge. Everton will likely score from a set piece, but United should have enough to win it.